Today is April 20th, 1990, and I'm in Canaan Valley talking to Dorothy Thompson. Okay, and I just want to get some information, background information about your experience for the apprenticeship program. Now, let's start with how long you've been weaving.
I guess my mother would weave carpet when I was 10 or more. And yeah, that's when I fell in love with weaving. We would string a warp up in the backyard. For a loom, we had a rigid heddle frame, and my father made it, and we'd weave carpet right as a child. And then, of course, we moved to Arthurdale, and they brought it. They started vocational education when I was in my sophomore year, and but I didn't take the class until junior year. So I've been weaving since 35, 36.
Let's go a little further back then. Your parents were involved with weaving.
Oh, yeah, because I have some pieces of weaving that were done by my aunt in Europe.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, was it your mother's people or your father's people came from Europe?
My mother's people.
Your mother's people.
My father's the only one of his family that came over to this country.
I see. Okay. And you didn't know where they came from exactly?
Not exactly. Somebody knows in the family, and we just haven't done any work on getting a record of it. My father was a Slovak, so he lived someplace around the Tiso River, which is in Czechoslovakia, in that country. My mother was a Czech.
So they were both immigrants, your mother and father?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And do you know when they...
Now, wait a minute. No, because my mother was born in this country. Her father came over in the late 1890s. And she was born here, and they took her back as a child. He came over long enough to make some money to go back and buy some land. That much I know about my mother's father. But he didn't stay here. But then when my mother was 17, she came back.
I see.
This country.
I see.
So I know that much
Yeah, well, that's pretty good.
about them.
And your...
Now, my mother did not weave in Europe.
Eventually you ended up in Arthurdale.
Yes.
And do you know what caused your parents to move there?
The Friends Society started a woodworking shop around Morgantown, and then the next one they had was in, they opened a branch on Bertha Hill, and it was in the basement of the boarding house. And that was when the Depression was on, and my father worked in that woodworking factory at Bertha Hill. You know where Bertha Hill is?
Not exactly. I've heard the
You
name.
know, well, it's a community right at the beginning of Scotch Run. You come down the river. Well, of course, the big bridge. Anyhow, you came down the river from Granville to what was that little ferry? There was a ferry across the river then to Star City from the side that we lived. Anyhow, up on this hill was Bertha Hill, and up on that hill was Trope Hill, and then you went up Scott's Run. It was Osage and something else, up till you got to Cassville. But that's where we lived. Well, he mined in that area.
So he worked in the mines, but he also did woodworking at home
Yeah.
through this period. And you say the Society of Friends started
Friends
wood-
Society. See, they started.
Let me just try to put a date on this. So you've been weaving since Arthurdale, which was about what year?
In high school was 37. I took it in high school, but I was weaving since 36, even maybe late 35, because that's at the community center, not in school, at the community center. But I think that Arthurdale, I know it was the first vocational school up in Preston County. I'm sure of that. And of course they taught the boys woodworking and building trades, and the girls took weaving and garment making. And our teacher was a Swedish girl that came over here to teach weaving.
So you've been weaving 55 years, maybe?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Formally weaving 55 years.
Yeah. Say that again?
I was an apprentice. After I graduated, Eleanor Roosevelt set up a scholarship, and I went to Louisville, Kentucky, to weave under a Tate, a weaver there.
Lou Tate?
Loutate.
That was a woman or
A woman.
Uh-huh.
She's Louise Tate Bousman. That was her name.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm going to put some of this down on your tape so that I can. I'm going to have a copy of that.
I'll make you a copy.
Will you?
Sure.
Good, okay. I
Was
served.
that at a school?
No, it was a private home.
Uh-huh.
Private home. It's a lady that Eleanor Roosevelt knew, and she did a lot of research on the weaving around Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky.
And was this an old-time weaver?
No, she was a college graduate, a ballet dancer. She set her home up as a weaving center, and I boarded there. I had to weave a lot for my board, and I had to do, what did I have to do? Get a lunch or get a meal or so, and do the dishes and so. I didn't have to do the housework, except keep my own room clean.
And how long did that last?
Year and a half. It was a 2-year scholarship, but I ran into some trouble, and I wasn't getting any money, and my folks couldn't send me any. War was coming, and I got a job, and I made enough money to get myself a ticket home. Because I didn't want to be stuck down there without any, you had to write home, Mom, I got to come home, what am I going to do? I don't like, I think that type of apprenticeship, you recording this?
Yeah, I'll turn it on.
I don't think that type of an apprenticeship, they've asked me if I wanted an apprentice before this. And I said no, because she would have to live here. And that, I've had that experience, and I didn't want to have that again. The living was too close.
Just let me ask you this: when you were doing that, and you finished work, who did the work belong to when you got there?
Lou Tate.
It belonged to the master.
She didn't pay me anything.
I see.
I must have been getting a little something, because I could travel around there, and my folks they might have sent me a little money. She must have been paying me something, but the work, she sold the work. Well, I guess she paid me for weaving it. See, I'm going to forget, that's something that's slipping my mind.
And how old were you then?
19. I went down 19, 20. And I, 39. I went the fall of 39 40 and 41, because I did 18 months of it, of this apprenticeship.
Now, Eleanor Roosevelt set that up.
Yes.
Did you get to meet her?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Oh, yes. She was at our graduation.
Ah.
She taught our, she gave the talks at our graduation. In fact, for quite a few, I think after the war really started, she did not come back anymore to do that type of thing. Because she had she was already on other projects. You know, she did a lot of traveling to the war zones for the president. Oh, yes, I met, I have a picture of her shaking my hand when I graduated.
She's quite a lady.
Well, good. Oh, yeah? Great.
Well, I'm going to, I'm getting ready to quit this foolishness.
You don't want to do that.
A friend of mine tells me I've been saying that. She met me 13 years ago. She said I said it then. And that's what I've been kind of ready to quit it until I see that I can't find anything else that I like better.